You ready, Cam? Can't wait for you all the time. All right,
Ready.
let's do it.
Oh yeah, this is Sci-Fi Snob, and this is the Toplofty Lounge for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby, in the 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby, yeah, here we go. In 11, 10, 9, oh yeah, baby, here we come. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Top Lofty Lounge, episode 71. Today, we're talking about the history of science fiction. We're going to go over the various ages of science fiction. And I know I promised you pulp sci-fi. Doing the research, I said, hey, we got to talk about the general overview first, and then we can talk about the pulp sci-fi. So we'll do the overview today, and maybe in like a week or two, we'll talk about the pulp area. Yeah, all right. Oh baby, yeah, that's right. Okay, so but before we do that, before we get onto the show, um, let me introduce my co-host. He is the co-host of the show. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Oh, hi. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, I didn't think of a good thing to call you,
Hmm.
and I had to wing it. I just came up with a co-host. Oh, that's
Nice
bad.
job.
All right. Yeah, it's yeah. Let's just before we do anything, let's say hello to everyone in the chat. We all appreciate you here. Welcome. I see Michael, and I see Weatherman's in the chat. James asks, where is the other 600 subscribers? And I think Weatherman is right. They're probably either sleeping or drunk. That's what we like to do here. Yeah, on the show. Who else? Oh, Dave's here. Good to see you, Dave. Greetings to you too. Who else we got here? I'm just scrolling down. Snugs is here. To you, buddy. This is why we do the show for you people. That's no. Memento Mori. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. All right. I can trade up. Who can trade up? All right. Is that me? You're telling me to trade up for Cam or something? Or, Cam's not paying attention much. He's going to play Diablo tonight, I think. So if you hear unusual clicking and clacking, that's him. Not paying attention to the show. Hold his feet to the fire. Make him pay attention and learn something.
I would like to. Sorry, just mention this. Snugs is here. He had a question offline, meaning outside of the show, if we had done any Tron episodes. So I will dutifully link those to him.
We did. Didn't we watch the Tron movie?
We did, and I think we had 2 episodes on Tron actually.
Well, I just remember the one. We watched the original Tron. Yeah.
Well, but remember we did a how to fix it or whatever. Didn't we? Wasn't it on Tron?
I don't think we did for that. I think it was someone else, but I could be wrong. It's 71 shows. It's my memory is not what it used to be. Yeah, but we did do Tron for movie night for sure. All right. So before we get into it, just everyone knows it's Thanksgiving here in Canada land. So that's we're doing it tomorrow, of course, and of course we've also had the first snowfall, so we can bring the birds back. We had the first snowfall last night, and it's walking into winter wonderland. So So Cam, what did you want to talk about? Is there anything you wanted to, let me ask you the question of the week. What did you do to improve your sci-fi snobbery this week? And before you even answer, only OG Tron is worth watching. I agree. The second one I think is not too bad. I think, but yeah.
Honestly,
I heard bad stuff about this one.
I am not sure I remember even what I did this week at all. It's been a hectic week for me, so. But I did try it. Now, if we're counting, this was a what is sci-fi topic, but I did play a game of Arkham Horror, which we've talked about Lovecraft being sci-fi.
Or board game.
I'm sorry, what board game?
Board game.
Board game, yeah. And lost miserably. So.
Oh well, you're supposed to, right?
Well, I guess
you're supposed to lose miserably.
It's
been a long time since I played. I was never a big fan of that game. Everyone goes psychotic all the time and crazy. It was pretty tough. Kind of fun. It's been a long time since I played it.
Well, this is the 3rd edition one that came out. I want to say 2015 or something like that, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I played an earlier version.
Yeah. This one's it's not that hard. I win quite a bit, but this was one of those things. It's like, oh, look, card came up. It's like, you're dead. Nothing you can do about that. It was, that's pretty. That pisses me off a lot. I don't like that kind of game generally. That's like, oh, it's so hard because we just kill you.
Randomly kill you.
Yeah, it's that's not a good game design in my opinion. And I understand that this is a game where you're supposed to go crazy and it's supposed to be brutal and everything, but there's got to be, even if it's just very narrow way of getting out of it, I think that's better.
I mean, those games, the fun is in the story that you made. Remember that time where Bob went crazy? Yeah. He was so close and and we lost. Yeah, all right.
And on that front, I have an Arkham role-playing game, like a beginner box set that I've been wanting to play, but my my players said, oh no, I'd rather play the board game. So
yeah.
I'm sure that's not a reflection on me as a game master, though.
No, yeah, I'm sure. For me, it was I mentioned that I'm inculcating my youngest child into the Marvel universe. So we watched this week at various times. We watched, and we're kind of working our way through in order. Supposedly, we did Iron Man 2 and Thor 2. And
that's a
Thor
that's a weak weak outing.
It's been weak.
You might want to mix that up.
Thor 2 wasn't as bad. Yeah, Thor 2 wasn't as bad as I remember. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. And I am reading an Ian M. Banks book. I just got into it. I'm like 50 pages in. I haven't read his stuff before, and I figured, hey, someone suggested it on the channel, I should be reading it. And I figured I think I pick up the first one. And I figured I'd give it a try. And I'm 50 pages in, and I'm not throwing it away and stuff. It's interesting enough. I'm curious to keep going in it. Yeah. Watch those birds. They're horrible. Chickadees, eh? Everyone thinks, oh, cute chickadees. They're nice. You see them fight, man. They're like, hey, get out of here. Bam. One goes after the other one and stuff. Anyway. Yeah, so that's what I did this week. Pretty much. All right. Let's get into some. I'm going to take the birds off. I'm going to do a little bit of a couple of things. A couple of things came up before we get into the show proper. Skiing. What do you have to tell me about that, Cam?
Well, Hate Monger had a video that came out. When was it? Friday or Saturday or
something like that?
All right, yeah. Should we link it? I should go find that.
Oh, Oh wait. Oh, sorry. You know what? I missed something when I'm inculcating. Yeah, that's a $2, $1 word. I'm also my older daughter. She's home for Thanksgiving. Not that she's not that far away anyway. She's going to school. She lives off on campus, but still nearby. But anyway, she just finished off. What's it called? The X-Files season 1. She's been watching them online, and she likes the show, loves the show. I'm like, what? Oh, I didn't even really, she's like, oh, I heard of this X-Files show. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a try, whatever. I didn't even push it. And now she's watched the first season, and she's going to keep going. So that's kind of surprising for me. But anyway. All right. Anyway, we're talking about Tape Monger.
Yeah. I just linked it there in the chat.
Yeah, so it's like a 2-minute little thing, and Hate Monger hates girls. For those of you who didn't know, yeah. Thanksgiving is not a month away; it is tomorrow in Canada because it's already snowing. So you got to get that harvest in. Yeah. Okay, a little bit extra Hate Monger stuff. There's a guy online, and he was I don't know, he's 3D printing or something, Cam, and so he's printing this. I saw this. He is printing up hate mace. I'm not sure how big that is. I think it's 3D. He's 3D printing it, so it's kind of interesting. Looks kind of fun. He's got a second picture up too. Let me just put that up. He came through my X. Came through my X feed. Here is the hate mace. It's hard to tell. It's on the desk or something. Hard to tell but he printed it up or carved it out of wood, something. I don't know, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind one. It looks pretty good. Good job. One other thing now, Cam. I know you like one of your favorite politicians is probably Hillary Clinton, right?
Oh, big fan, yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're a big fan of that. And this also came into my feed, and it was I'm sure you'll enjoy this. It was a comparison at relatively the same age of Hillary Clinton and Sydney Sweeney. I mean, don't they look just exactly alike? I mean, isn't that amazing?
No, it's a rather flattering picture of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
But,
have you seen her before her and Bill got married?
Yeah,
like she's in college. My God, she is like, she must have had, this is our wedding, I think. But she looked like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, she looked about like you'd expect.
Yeah, like horse face. She was horrible. Anyway, yeah. So people are saying, look, Sydney Sweeney and Hillary Clinton, they're like twins. Yeah. I don't know. I don't quite think so. I thought you'd enjoy that though.
Yeah, that's something I'll have to bleach my brain with later.
Bleach your eyeballs. Dave likes it too. He's a big fan. Yeah.
Okay, take that down, please. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay,
it's gone.
Oh, great.
Bit of delay. All right.
Snugs.
I mean, that's just Cam. That's not polite.
Oh wait, I think YouTube censored that for Snugs.
You shouldn't be. Dropping nudes into DM. Come on.
Hold on. Let's track this down for a second. So this shows up in our chat, but am I wrong? Am I missing it here? That it's not. That's not, that comment from Snugs did not show up in the YouTube.
Maybe because of the word nude in there.
Maybe.
I don't think I have any. I think I have just the normal censorship stuff on there. Nothing. Whatever the normal.
YouTube can't. They can't cross the queen.
Yeah. All right.
It should be censored. Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I forgot on my thing. I gotta switch off to something else.
Let me address. Hey, PB, welcome. James, the Star Trek is the show. We talk about Star Trek on Wednesdays.
What has this to do to Star Trek? That's look. Listen, the chat is full of sarcastic SOBs, man. Exactly. I mean, we have to talk about Star Trek on the Babylon 5 show. What are you talking about? You only talk about Star Trek on the Babylon 5 show. All right. So what are you drinking tonight, Cam?
I've got a nice, cool cup of water in a children's cup, an children Avengers cup, like one of those like soft plasticky kind of things,
Oh,
so
well, jeez. Well, I'm drinking Rupert's exceptional Canadian whiskey.
So mine's a lot cooler. What you're saying?
Yeah. Green girl, all you hear? Yeah, don't pick on the girls. I don't. No, maybe she's here. We're 11 people are watching. That's what it says. So
Yeah,
not all of you guys are coming up, but yeah. All right.
Now,
is that everything we need to take care of before the show?
Yeah, probably. Killing time here.
Killed enough time. Everybody's in who needs to be in. We're 16 minutes in. We got nothing on. Remember, next week we're going to do Flash Gordon, and then probably after that, maybe the week after, we'll do we'll look at pop culture, pulp sci-fi, which is kind of what we were going to do today. But I thought, hey, we should go into we should do the overview first, and you guys might find it interesting. We're still stuck at 634 subs. We don't with the 34 here, but with the other 600 are drunk or sleeping, right? But yeah, no movement in the last week. But hey, that's okay. We are a hair close to having memberships go off. The only thing we need is 3,000 watch hours in the last 1 year, and we have 2,954. We need 46 more watch hours to get above that. And it was going up every week. Now it's stuck. It's stuck at that for the last week. It was going up like every 2 days. It was going up by like 12. I was like, oh, we're going to be there by this Sunday, I thought.
Well, wow, the audience. That's your job. Oh, hey, look, Green Girl's here. Green Girl showed up. You said
put on the stuff and just leave it there. Yeah. Green Girl. Oh, yes. What did I miss? They were just talking about you. Talking about in the chat. Oh, you missed the Space King no girls allowed thing. PB says, watch Metropolis the other day. Flash Gordon shows from the 30s. Brave New World by Odyssey. All right, on. Nice. Good. Yes, it's the Gordon's Alive, the 1984 2 version.
No, 81.
80. And it is the one with the Queen soundtrack. Yes, that is the Flash Gordon movie as opposed to the serials. Yeah, it's movie night, not serial night. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah, welcome, Green Girl. Welcome. All right, let me pull up. I got slides. Let me pull up the slides. Oops. Now it's the last slide. We don't want to do that. Let's go to the first one. All right. So tonight we're talking about the history of science fiction. So, I mean, the main thing we're going to do is going to go over, go over the sort of the rough ages of science fiction, I guess you'd call it, Cam. And, if you want to jump in and should we put up our, maybe I should put up the Venn diagram first.
Yeah.
Should we put that up?
Sure.
I don't know. Is it really relevant?
Nah. Well, if need be, we could talk about it later.
I'm trying to, oh, there it is. I'm just digging around trying to find it.
Well, Memento Mori, we certainly appreciate you staying up right now to watch the show. So
we do. Yeah. We appreciate, this is why we do the show for you guys. That's what we, do you want to put up the Venn diagram? Should I put it up?
Whatever, man. It's 20 minutes in the show.
All right. Don't be so excited. Okay, so this is the Venn diagram that Cam came up, patent pending. Science fiction is mainly of these 3 elements: and technological impact on the story, futuristic elements relative to humanity, and speculative nature about humanity in some way. That's the general gist of it. Now, when we're talking about ancient science fiction or the very earliest science fiction, this may not, these three elements might not be
proto
there.
science fiction.
So we might not be able to, but you can argue about that. All right. I see everybody's coming up with PB's coming up with stuff. We're gonna be mentioning some of these things. When Flash Gordon came out, I don't know. Probably after Flash Gordon, maybe. Don't get them mixed up; they're different. All right. So we're going to talk about the history of science fiction. So the first, these are the areas we're going to talk about: early science fiction, which can go way, way back, and then the Enlightenment era and the Age of Reason, sort of 17th to 19th century science fiction, which probably you guys might be aware of. We've mentioned before on the show. Late 19th and early 20th century. And then the Golden Age, which is, I think that's my favorite era, I think. Though I do have a little bit of a soft spot for the New Wave era. And then the 80s, which is basically cyberpunk, and contemporary, which kind of is everything, the 90s and afterwards. They haven't broken it down further than that, beyond that. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so let's talk about the early science fiction. Now, there is a discussion amongst scholars that the science fiction goes back to maybe as far as 2000 BC with the Epic of Gilgamesh, which you could say has scientific or sci-fi elements in it. For example, part of that, the Epic of Gilgamesh is a story of there is a quest for immortality in there, that they're looking for this herb that'll make them live forever. And there's also a flood scene, which is very apocalyptic. Now, some people would say that that is kind of more fantastical, fantasy style science fiction. And they would say that it would be the Age of Reason would be the beginning of science fiction. Which is like 17 to 1900s. Cam, do you want to guess on that?
I'm sorry, guess on what?
What do you think? Is it ancient Epic of Gilgamesh would be the beginning of science fiction, or would you lean more on the Age of Reason, the 17th and 19th?
I wouldn't say the Age of Epic of Gilgamesh is sci-fi. It is fantastical, but I don't know. I think that's a bit of a stretch. When we were doing this before, some origins of sci-fi, there was an Egyptian story that was very much sci-fi, and it's one of those things. It's like almost as if it was fake. Someone in the year 2000 made it up and said, "Oh yeah, there was this thing," because it was pretty strong elements. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Now, all right. That's where you sit on that side. All right. Now let's give you a little more information, and then we'll see. You guys can decide if Cam is right or not. All right. So, in addition to the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's about 2000 BC and has those elements that I just mentioned. There is some ancient Indian poetry from around the time of the 5th to the 4th century BC was written. It is it's a Hindu epic. It's called Ramayana. If I pronounce that right, don't hold it against me. It's got what's called Vimanana, which are flying machines that can fly in space and underwater. It's got stories with refers to the full-scale destruction of cities with like advanced weaponry. Very science fiction sounding in the 5th to the 4th century BC, as well in the about 17 to 1100 BC. There's another Indian story that's called Rigveda. It's got mechanical birds jumping into space, craft using fire and water to propel themselves. As well, another Indian piece of poetry called, it's killing me, Mahatma Meghbahara, which is the 8th to the 9th century BC. It's got a king, and he travels to meet Brahma, which is the Hindu god. When he returns, many ages has passed. So that's that's kind of a reference to either time travel or maybe Einstein physics, where he travels out in space to meet travel and then comes back, and various ages have passed. So that's kind of
So
interesting.
wait a minute. So they have time dilation in there?
Yeah, it's either time dilation or time travel. I mean, it doesn't say it out specifically, but this king goes out to meet God, and when he comes back, ages and ages have passed. So yeah, so that's the Indians. Now there was I don't know if you've heard this. There's a Syrian Greek writer, Lucian of Samosa, and he wrote a satire. When was he write that? I didn't put it down in my notes. He wrote a satire called True History, which was, of course, false. It has in it. It has it was used as satire to comment on what was going on at the time, which is what science fiction does at times. It had voyages into outer space. It had meetings with alien life forms and discussions with them, interplanetary warfare, planetary imperialism, creatures that were products of human technology, and worlds with alternative physical laws, different physics. So, I mean, this is pretty science fiction-y. I mean, I was kind of surprised to learn about this stuff. And I think he was in the 2nd century AD, I think. Let me just, 2nd century AD. So that's, it's 1,800 years ago. And then something that, most of our watchers or our viewers might be more familiar with, 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights, which was written in the 8th to the 10th century AD. In one of them, The Adventure of Bulkari, pronunciation. They're looking for another herb of immortality. They go to the Garden of Eden. They visit hell. They travel across the cosmos. There's another story where he engages in they describe an underwater submarine society that is very similar to on land, basically, just underwater. And another story as part of that, which is the Ebony Horse, and it's about a robot. In it, they have a robot, which is a flying mechanical horse, which is actually mechanical, and it's controlled by some sort of keys in the story. So, I mean, there's a few more. I just picked up on these ones specifically. There's some Japanese references as well, and some medieval literature, but I picked up on these ones. And so it does seem that there's a lot of aspects that are, kind of science fiction in the past.
Well,
so, did that change your mind at all?
No, you did a bait and switch there. You asked about the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then you went on to talk about other things. So I will agree with the other things, but
All right. I tricked you. All right.
Well, you didn't trick me.
So my question was about whether science fiction would start back in the ancient times.
Well, yeah, that's when I mentioned the Egyptian thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Now let's move forward to the Enlightenment, Age of Reason, the 1800s. There's a various number of stories that take place in that time frame, which also talk about have some science fiction elements. So now, does anybody remember Shakespeare's The Tempest, written 1610, 1611? Did you study that one, Cam?
I'm familiar with it. I don't know that I've ever read it.
I don't think I studied that one. Of course, I know of it, but there's a prototype. That story contains a prototype for the Mad Scientist story. Francis Bacon's The New Atlantis is a bit of a utopian novel. It's not complete. Daniel Defoe, The Consolidators, revolves around a voyage to the moon. And Simon Tisset de Patot, his voyages and adventures of Jack Massey, features a lost. I'll just anglify that for you. That features a lost world And in another story he wrote 10 years later in 1720, it features a hollow earth.
Oh, my favorite.
Which is a fairy. Yeah. There's another one with that too. Of course, Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travels, 1726. There's descriptions of alien cultures, weird scientists in that. Ludwig Holzberg and Nielsen Kim's Underground Travels, another Hollow Earth story. This French author here, Louis Sebastien Mercier's L'année 2040, which I think it is the year 2440, gives a predictive account of life in the 25th century. So very somewhat science fiction-y. Nicolas Edem and his story here, La découverte Australia par un homme violent, features prophetic inventions. And Giacomo Casanova, his story here, also makes use of another hollow earth device. So a lot of these, this is 1700s, and they are talking a fair amount about various tropes that we would recognize for science fiction, such as the hollow earth one. Pretty common ones.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll get into the time frame where most people, most of us, probably a little more knowledgeable about, know about. Jules Verne, of course, Journey to the Center of the Earth. I'm sure you'd agree that's science fiction, right? From Earth to the Moon, which is, of course, Voyage to the Moon, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, classic underwater. Jules Verne, mostly known as probably the first real full-time science fiction novelist, where he actually could make money at doing that, and did make money at it. That he could quit his job and work. He very, very popular at the time. Super popular. The first commercial success writing science fiction.
Well,
and of course, sorry,
I was going to say we skipped over the time frame of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I didn't mention Mary Shelley's Frankenstein as one of the ones, but yeah, we talked about that one before. Do you want to talk about
just wanted to note it.
1826, I think.
I thought it was a little bit earlier, but yeah, somewhere early 1800s, I think.
And you could argue that science fiction. Again, we've talked about it on the show before. Is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? But it has elements of science fiction, definitely. So H.G. Wells, of course, The Time Machine, which was 1895, which was really a critical. A critique on the stratification of English society at the time, and then of course War of the Worlds, his other most well-known story. Now the two things about science fiction in this era, and it's really embodied in these two writers, is the realistic technological focus versus characters and ideas. And Wells, he didn't really like his time machine. It works, right? Like, oh, you press the buttons and you do the thing, and it takes you time. He didn't care about trying to explain how it worked or make up something, or he was focused on looking at the characters and ideas of, going into the future, that sort of thing. While Verne was much more technologically oriented and wanted to talk about, that aspect of science fiction. And this is the classic push and pull between science fiction, which we would call, hard science fiction versus soft. Hard is focused on the technological aspects and tries to make them, usually as realistic as possible. And then the soft stuff is more concerned about the effects on the society or the character or culture, politics, that sort of thing, and doesn't really care about explaining how the technology works, because that's not that important to it. What do you think?
Yes, I think absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is. I'd say this is where things are clearly sci-fi. You know, where it's hard to argue that they're not. By this
Yeah.
point, other ones you could say, oh yeah, it had this element, or it was kind of pointing to this, or yeah, contributor to it. But at this point, it seems to be fully formed.
Yeah, I think Verne and Wells are most obviously science fiction. You can't. It'd be pretty tough to argue and say that they aren't. So this is the late 19th century, early 20th century period. Still not the the key the golden age, not the golden age yet. So in addition to those two, you'd have something like L. Frank Baum, who everyone knows, the Wizard of Oz, right? Have you heard of that movie?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Never saw it.
You never saw the Wizard of Oz? Okay. So L. Frank Baum wrote a series of books in the Land of Oz between 1900 and 1920, which is, of course, where the Wizard of Oz comes from, right? 14 books. And in there, all kinds of strange weapons, mechanical men, handheld wireless communications, very sci-fi type stuff. Of course, everyone just knows the Wizard of Oz. They don't really much know the other books. And then Jack London also wrote a bunch of novels. The Red One, which had references to extraterrestrials. The Unparalleled Invasion, which had germ warfare and ethnic cleansing, invisibility, energy weapons. I mean, all kinds of, some very science fiction stuff. Yeah. And of course, Edgar Rice Burroughs, you've heard of him, right? Under the Moons of Mars. So, yeah. Lots of science fiction for those guys.
Well, the Wizard of Oz is an interesting one. Again, I not the movie, but the books. They're really peppered with political messaging, and even though they have these certainly have sci-fi elements to them, and I guess that's, you could say, well, that's commentary on humanity. It seems more to me. Kind of the thing we don't like today, where although I guess in its longevity has proven that it wasn't just that, but it was really taking aim at specific things of the day, and that's things that we often criticize.
Well, the thing is, I don't really agree with that in a sense. The problem is that modern writers, if you read stuff from the golden age, this 16s and 70s, there's lots of commentary on social situations. But the thing is that it's done well, right? They don't hit you over the head with a stick and say, you must think this way. It, sets up a society or a situation, picks a problem that we have, takes it to, a logical conclusion in the future, and, has you examine that. It doesn't hit you over the head and say, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, right? And that's the big difference. And that is the big difference whenever we're talking about, the woke type of stories that we're seeing in modern pop culture. That's the difference between it, in my view. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Sure.
No. Sure. Yeah. See, I see a difference between those two things, and the difference, is commentary and not trying to make you think a certain way versus laying it out for you. And that's what modern, the modern writer, they don't do that. They just simply say, here's the right view. And, they only represent one side of it, right?
Yeah.
One side is good. This side is good. This side is evil.
Well, and usually in a cartoonish way.
Yes. Very cartoonish. And there's no discussion of it. There's no, science fiction is supposed to, it can lead you to certain ideas or whatever, but, you should at least, it should be presented neutrally, or at least in a way that makes you think about it, not gives you the conclusion and calls you an idiot if you don't agree with that. That's just, that's poor storytelling.
I agree.
there's there's other things in this area. There's I'm sure you're aware of Heinlein and Starship Troopers, right? That was Kipling did a story called a bunch of stories called the Aerial Board of Control stories. They were a critique on the British military. He did the Army of a Dream, another story, and that was a great, strongly influenced Heinlein when he wrote Starship Troopers. So yeah, there's all kinds of Stranger in a Strange Land. People compare that one. That's another Heinlein book. Compare that to the Jungle Book. Some aspects of that. So you can see all kinds of different areas. How those things, cross pollination with where these guys got some of them, some of their ideas from. Snug says Wells could be cartoonish in his political commentary.
He was kind of blunt in many ways.
Yeah.
A small personal example of that is there was as some may know, I used to do a lot of role playing. I do a little bit now, but and I historically would go deep into settings and things, and there was a few that I was clearly influenced by political goings on at the time. It was all thematic, fitting all this. But if someone was to look at that today, they wouldn't be like, oh, you're making a commentary on whatever. It's because it wasn't again, it was inspired by themes rather than me making a particular political statement on things. And I mean, again, sorry, this is a bit of an aside, but Tolkien clearly, his themes in his writing were clearly, representing his views on various social things, and societal things. But no one looks at that and says, "Oh, he was writing a political screed," right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's a discussion which has some social value and reflects social issues of the time. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's often done. And you can see as we go through science fiction, when we get to the we're going to do the Golden Age next, and then of course the New Wave era, and that's you can see a lot of the themes that people write about reflect the times and what's going on in the times, right? So I am aware of Neville Shute. I consider it sci-fi. On the Beach is a story written in the 80s. When I'm not sure when he wrote it, about nuclear warfare. Destruction of the world on the beach. Happens in Australia. Yeah, he wrote that one. I think that's the only thing I've read by him. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move to the Golden Age, and we're going to mention. I will mention Gernsback. Yes, we will mention him, though I don't think he's as important as Campbell. So the Golden Age, this is kind of the birth of the pulps. 1926, Hugo Gernsback founded Amazing Stories. 1926, the first science fiction magazine, which kind of would be considered a pulp magazine. So it's the real birth of the the start of the Golden Age. I would probably say that Astounding Science Fiction by Campbell from the 30s, when he took over, that would, some people consider that more the beginning of the Golden Age, because I think Campbell was a bigger draw, and he pushed it a little harder, and he had people like Asimov, Clarke, and Heinlein. But you're right. Gernsback was the first publisher of Amazing Stories in 1926. He founded it, and that was the first magazine that was devoted exclusively to science fiction stories in the English language in America, because the Germans did a little bit and stuff like that. But we're going to focus on America, right? Because it's the center of the universe. Couple things about Gernsback. It was referred to, they didn't really call it science fiction. It was referred to like gadget fiction. and it was more about technological innovation. Um, it was a growing success, and have you heard of scientific fiction stories?
No.
It was referred to scientific fiction stories at the time, as opposed to science fiction. That was kind of how some people remembered it. Anyway, his the stories at the time weren't really were viewed as serious literature. Mostly they were seen as sensationalism. There was various other pulp magazines at the time, like Weird Tales, Sounding Stories, which was another one, Wonder Stories throughout the 30s. And this is kind of the era where science fiction fandom and science fiction stories kind of arose. So, yeah. No mention of Brave New World by Huxley. Yeah, we can mention that, 1932. Yeah, we're talking about the pulps now. Metropolis was a movie, of course, at the time, 1926, featuring humanoid robots. So you're starting to see it cross over elements into movies as well. Probably the big thing was, again, as I mentioned, Astounding Science Fiction by John Campbell. That's where Asimov, Clarke, and Heinlein sort of got their start. And the big thing that Campbell pushed, this was his, he tried to make science fiction a little more, I don't know, mature, more, understandable, or more serious, less damsels in distress, more serious, more literary. So this is his quote here. I've got his quote here. Write me a creature that thinks as well as a man or better than a man, but not like a man. So this is when you're seeing stuff like Asimov. This is when you've got the Foundation series coming out in his magazine. The first Foundation book is 5 parts to it, and each part was put into Astounding Science Fiction first, and then later on in the 50s put into a novel. So you would get that. You get these sort of the pieces of the science fiction like that. What else? So, you couldn't really write a science fiction. People weren't writing science fiction novels per se and making a go of it. Though you do have ones like Huxley doing Brave New World, like PB mentioned, in 32, I think it was 31 or 32, I think. Orwell is later. Orwell is, well, he's 48. 1984 is in 1948, 49. Asimov is in 1942 is printing his first Foundation series. They're first coming out at that time, during the war. Little known fact for you, Cam, were you aware that during the Second World War, the U.S. government went out to various science fiction writers and asked them to write these fanciful stories about weird contraptions and gadgets, that sort of thing, and then they would print it as truth as to where the government was working on various cool weapons to try to as propaganda against the Axis.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Apparently that's what they did. Yeah.
Cool.
And I do mention Scientology at the end of this. John Campbell. He was Hubbard was writing at this time as well for his book. That's where his Dianetics came from. And I don't know, Campbell was a believer in it, or at least thought it was a great idea, because it's kind of a scientific religion. I think that's what they kind of pushed at the beginning. So a religion of reason, when some people would think that there's not enough reason in religion, and that's part of the problem that we face. So he kind of I'm not going to say he pushed it, but he was very open to printing it, whatever Hubbard would put out about Dianetics and Scientology. And in fact, I think I read that he wrote a letter to the editor or some sort of thing, sort of praising Scientology and saying, what a good thing. Yeah. I think Animal Farm is great as well. Much shorter, easier to digest. And Battlefield Earth is a fun story, even though Hubbard is a bit weird. Yeah, making his own religion. The story about there's a story that says that two other science fiction writers were talking, and Hubbard was there, and they said, they're talking about how to make money. You can't make money writing science fiction. How do you make money? And one of them commented and said, someone said, "Oh, this is how you make money." The other one said, "No. You want to really make money? Start your own religion. That's how you make money."
Wasn't
supposedly heard it and goes, good idea.
Wasn't Heinlein supposedly one of those other guys?
I think it was. I can't remember if it was like Heinlein and Asimov, maybe something like that. But yeah, I can never remember which it was. But it's a good story. So the birth of the pulps, and so this is where. So at this point, you really can't make any money writing science fiction. So that's why guys are writing. They're writing for these novels, for these pulp magazines, which people are buying, which are becoming more and more popular. People are writing, liking them. There's at some point there's like 26 different types of these magazines out all the time. We'll talk about it in more detail when we get to the pulp, when we do the pulps in a couple weeks, maybe. Campbell ousted him from the science fiction community when he realized this is real. I haven't looked into it as much detail, but could be right. Could be correct. I haven't looked into it, but he helped get it off the ground because he was, allowing him to talk about it in the magazine. So, some about the Golden Age. Big thing is technology and optimism. Right? There's no problem that can't be solved by technology. And some of the tropes that we see, this is where we start to see these tropes come out, and ones that we recognize nowadays. The space opera, the 3 laws of robotics, the fact that robots have to be governed by some sort of law in order that they just don't go crazy. Libertarian ideology, which was very big in Heinlein stuff. Right? The moon is the harsh mistress, for example. Starship Troopers. Big into that. The vastness of the universe, we see that in stories like Asimov's Nightfall, and technology solves problems. Cam, do you want to comment?
Yeah, well, this is my favorite era. I think of sci-fi, and I like all those ideas. I think it's interesting. And I also like this is kind of, and I'm sorry if I'm not answering whatever your question might be, but
question is the right way to get you to talk. So
okay, the kind of cross between hard science fiction and not quite realistic science fiction is all over this era. I think. Like, oh, we're just going to Mars and we're going to, walk around on Mars and do things as if it's, habitable as Earth is and things like that. Now, again, that might be much more of a pulp type of thing.
That's more of a pulp thing, which Campbell was kind of like, he was trying to bring it to more literary. Like those are sort of adventures, like the whole, like they took, I'm going to mention them in a second here, but those took place. That's like an adventure story in space, right? Tarzan, like Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, they kind of fit more into that type of thing. They're still science fiction, and they were written in the Golden Age, but you can see that Campbell and they're trying to focus on more serious topics as opposed to Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon.
Okay,
fly around and say the damsel in distress kind of thing. But yeah.
let's take Starship Troopers as an example, though, and other various earlier Heinlein stuff.
Yeah,
it is very much adventure kind of things, kind of stories, and that's exactly my point. Is I like it. This is a confluence. It's it's things are shifting and evolving, and I like some of the less realistic stuff because it is fun. it's the same thing as Star Wars. It's like, well, Star Wars isn't sci-fi in the hard sense at all. If it's sci-fi, if it's even sci-fi, we talk about it being sci fantasy and all that.
Yeah.
But I like this this era that doesn't get too much. To be honest with you, hard sci-fi can be pretty boring to me. It's not. It just isn't my favorite.
Yeah.
That's not to say there aren't great hard sci-fi stories.
Yeah, no, I enjoy hard sci-fi as well. Like I said, we were talking before the show, Niven. He's got some good science fiction. I mean, hard sci-fi just usually means more, there's a bit of a focus. It doesn't have to be a, complete and total focus. There's a focus on the technology and how it works and trying to explain it. And you see it with people like Niven, who I believe Niven is there's a couple of science fiction writers who were physicists and stuff, and they go towards more of a hard science fiction where they actually explain how this could work from a physics point of view. Yeah. Starship Troopers is more mature Heinlein. Whoops, sorry. Not his early work. I mean, it's 58, 59. It's fairly early.
I'd say that Starship Troopers is kind of a transitional novel for Heinlein. It's kind of between the two major eras for him. It isn't childish by any means. I'm not saying that.
I disagree with you that this is not adventure science fiction. So PB was asking what's the definition of a space opera. So it's a subgenre of science fiction. Quote, emphasizes outer space adventures set in a universe in which faster than light travel has become common. Plots often play out against backdrop of space warfare, alien civilizations, and galactic empires. It is sometimes thought of as a futuristic homage to earlier adventure sagas, such as those found in mythology and chivalric romance. So this is like your Buck Rogers and your Flash Gordon, those kind of things. So that's what and people would also often say that Star Wars, for example, is an example of a space. It's more like a space opera, right? Not focused, soft science fiction in the sense that it's not focused on the technology and how it works so much, but there's a mix too, right? So I don't see Starship Troopers is focused on the story of what's going on for sure, because you got to be focused on characters, but it's not fundamentally about that. It's really a story about war. And just the way that it's split up, it's not the classic adventure, like the Tarzan adventure story, which you would say that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, were.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that about Heinlein myself, but hard sci-fi. So soft, like I mentioned before, soft is more focused on the characters or the ideas, and hard is more focused on the technology. Now, that's not to say that there would be a mix, but for example, Niven would be, I would consider him to be a hard science fiction, generally speaking, a hard science fiction author. I think he was used to be a scientist. I always forget who was a scientist, who wasn't. But you can see that their stories focus on making explaining the technology and how it works. Like if you read Ringworld, for example, Niven, in addition to a good story, he explains how the Ringworld works. There's these, it spins at this speed, and it's 1 million miles wide, and you can fit this many people in it, and it keeps spinning by the use of these giant engines on the bottom, and it's made out of this metal that is very tough, that makes it able to. It's got the giant squares that go on the top and spin at a certain speed so that you get day and night, all that kind of thing. Like he's focused on that. Where when we spoke about H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, he's like, oh, we got a time machine and it works and we go forward in time. Oh, how does it work? Don't care. Not even going to bother mentioning it. Not important. That's kind of, space opera, PB. Yeah, that's kind of fight the evil king, save the princess trope, but in space. Yeah, basically. That's not doesn't have to be 100%, and it's not like 100 set in stone. Like for example, Star Wars is mostly a space opera, I would say, but it does have aspects of not much. But I guess Star Wars. Did they really explain how the technology works at all?
Not in the movies.
Not really. I'm just thinking of the movies. Well, I got to go and you got to turn this thing. The power goes off, and then the tractor beam goes off. But it's very, very light. Yeah. Duck Dodgers. Okay, I think Snugs is just trying to distract us now. Lucifer's Hammer. Yeah, great book. That's the only Niven book that Cam has read, right? Cam. Shame.
Yeah. Yep.
Shame. Ringworld is very good. Yeah, highly recommend it. So I personally, I've read most of Niven stuff, and I really can't, even though it's hard science fiction, you're not bogged down with it. It's very, realistic and well done. Yeah. Okay. So I think I covered all the questions.
I probably didn't explain my preference right, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Go ahead. We have time.
Okay, well, it's
your preference is your preference. You can,
I guess rightfully it would be more science fantasy or science adventure kind of stuff, because like a story like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon, where it's like, well, we're going to Venus
John Carter.
And we're going to go talk to the Venusians, or John Carter, right? And that stuff. It's like, it's completely unrealistic, right? I mean, life like that can't exist on these planets.
Well, remember though that some of these things, like John Carter, they're written before we know what these places are like, and like the John Carter. My understanding is that the John Carter novels were, we were able, finally get a telescope and say, hey, there's the canals there's some canals on Mars. I mean, they're not canals, they're just channels.
Yeah. And
then people go, hey, maybe there's a space, maybe there's a civilization that lived there or something, etc. Right?
And that's what I like. I like this. It wasn't like, oh, we're just doing something we're intentionally fantasy. It's like, well, yeah, it's a planet like us, and so when we get there, it's going to be like this. I mean, it was out of ignorance, but I just like it. I don't know. It got a bit of whimsy that I enjoy.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, it's perfectly, perfectly good.
But I'll just never be a snob like you.
Not as much. Hoot Owl, yeah, good point. PB, I think you made a good point there too. Okay, so Snugs, I mean, look, he's just poking us there, eh? So this is I know your reference, Snugs. The Gripping Hand, that's a Mote in God's Eye that you're talking about there. Great novel. There's two of them. I like them. Weatherman, Golden Age sci-fi has a boy's charm and an innocent look at what and what not can be done. Yeah. Hoot Owls, yeah. Canals there. Good point. All right. Good stuff.
Hey, Mr.
Okay, so at this point, so about 1951, so these pulp magazines are real popular, Cam, because at the time there's no book publishing, right? The main book publishers are focused on crime dramas and that kind of stuff, and nobody believes that science fiction is nobody's going to buy this stuff, right? So what happens though, at about 1950, these small publishers start publishing science fiction novels per se, right? And then of course the big publishers get in on it. They go, oh, there's money to be made. The authors all realize that the mainstream book publishers who now want to publish their novels will pay them twice as much per word to write for them, and instead of the pulp magazines. So these pulp magazines basically die because all the authors go, hey, these guys are going to pay me twice as much, and they're going to publish a novel, and I can actually make a living doing this now. You can actually be a science fiction writer and not have to work your day job. And you see people like Heinlein and Asimov quitting their day jobs and writing full time around in the 50s. because they can finally make enough money. So that basically kills off these astounding science fiction and amazing stories in these magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what does it. That's what does them in, pretty much. So we also see in the golden age, we also see other media which starts to creep in. 1950s in the movies, you see 1950 Destination Moon, Them in 54, Invasion of the Body Snatchers 56, Forbidden Planet 56 for movies. And you also start seeing on television. Television is just coming into the forefront, right? You see Captain Video, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, stuff like that. So, science fiction is becoming mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Keep going.
Okay, now we get into the 60s and the new wave. And you see how these reflect the sign of the times, eh? The 60s, the free love era and that kind of thing. So in 1960, there was a Kingsley Amis. He published this book article called New Maps of Hell. And it was an examination of science fiction. And this actually helped push science fiction into the mainstream and see it as a serious literary, serious literature, as opposed to before it was kind of like, it's just in those silly magazines. It's for kids. It's not serious. You start to see, 65, Frank Herbert's Dune, which is full of political intrigue, mystical religion, ecology. I mean, this is much more, serious writing. A lot of the themes creep in, like surrealism, psychological drama, and so references to what's going on in the mainstream. Also, with the I'm assuming it's part of the free love sort of thing. You also see sexuality creep into science fiction, and Delaney, Ursula K. Le Guin. And have you read The Left Hand of Darkness, Cam?
No.
Left Hand of Darkness, great story. So it's a story about a character who's a male and goes to this planet, and they only have one sex. They don't have two sexes, and the way that they reproduce is that when two people come together, there's like they're the people on this planet are very human-like, but they only have one sex. And what happens is that when they fall in love, and they're the one is more dominant or has more testosterone than the other, and that one will become the male. They will sort of change into, and the other one will become more feminine, female-like, and then they will carry the child. So it was a very interesting idea about sexuality and having one sex and how it might work. I found it interesting when I read it. I think I was forced to read it in school, but I read it on my own as well. But it was a story that it was often during the 80s in high school studied. So some of the guys might have read it. But then you see like you noticed Heinlein's books like Stranger in a Strange Land, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. There's more sexuality in it. Like when you read, you've read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, correct?
Yep.
And you've read Starship Troopers, of course. Mm-hmm. You can see that Starship Troopers isn't really very sexual at all, right? But
very
the
much
moon
not.
is but the Moon is a Harsh Mistress talks about he's got the idea of that the moon, it was a prison colony, and the ratio of men to women was like one female to 20 males, and how it affects the society and that kind of thing, and the difference, the various different types of marriage and polygamy and stuff that goes on in there. So I mean, he's starting to before that John Campbell's like no sex in the stories, and they wouldn't have any of that in there in the 50s. But now you're getting into the that era is over, and people are starting to write novels, and they're it's the 60s, free love, and they're putting that stuff in there. It's reflecting the times. Mr. Milk Toast, we were talking about we already spoke about, I don't know, you just jumped in. We already talked about soft science fiction and hard science fiction. We already mentioned a little bit. I'll just mention again. Hard science fiction focuses on, and it's not cut and dried, but hard science fiction, I mentioned Niven would be a good example. You can see at the bottom where he'd be focusing on, he's still telling a story, but also focused on how the technology works and explaining it, how it worked. Where the soft science fiction would focus more on the characters and the ideology and the story. And you earlier used the example for soft science fiction of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, where you have a time machine and it just works. He doesn't spend any time telling you how it works or trying to create some plausible, tachyon particles or something like that. He doesn't care. He simply says, hey, it works. And now we're going to look at the societal, cultural aspects of us, how our society changes in 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, etc. That kind of thing. So we're starting to see that. And in the films, in these films, you're kind of seeing some of the psychological drama and the surrealism, like Clockwork Orange, very much, an aspect of that surreal and the psychological drama. 2001, I mean, you'd say there's a little bit of surrealism in that, wouldn't you, Cam?
Certainly in the movie there is.
In the movie, yeah.
I'm not sure if the book has as much of that. But yeah, certainly.
Well, I'm talking specifically more about the films in this. THX 1138. There's a bit of surrealism, psychological drama there. Certainly Green as well. So you can see these things sort of creeping into the ideas in this new wave, the 60s and 70s science fiction. And we mentioned, I got the Star Trek technobabble in there, tachyon fields. And of course, example like Niven and Anderson, examples of hard science fiction and soft, Le Guin and Philip K. Dick. And again, these things are not, set in stone, right? Like it's just where it more, it pushes more to one side or the other. There's a lot of gray area in the middle. And, if you're just going to have a hard science fiction book, it's just going to be description of technology. That's going to be a pretty boring storyline, right?
Yeah.
You're going to fall asleep. You have to have expert. You have to have a little bit of cross of that. Much how Mr. Milktoast talking about much how romance has bled into fantasy. That's more of a recent thing. I don't know if that's the same aspect as between hard and soft science fiction. I think that's more has to do with that. Book publishers are mostly women, and they work. People working in the industry are mostly women, and they tend to go towards romance novels, and they tend to think that men don't read. Of course, men don't read if you don't write a book that they like. No man is going to be reading some romance novel like, oh, it's stupid.
Quick anecdote. I was at the craft store the other day, and yes, women there glare at you and let you know you don't belong. But I ran across they had a coloring book, adult coloring book, meaning for adults, not adult oriented. But it was called Romantasy, and it sickened me.
Yeah, that's what they call it, Romantasy. It's a mixture of, it's basically a romance novel, but in a fantasy setting. And they have like my local bookstores, which are big name books, like a couple big name bookstores like Chains, Indigo. They have a whole section, and it's bigger than the science fiction section now. Like, there's no point in buying stuff at the bookstore for science fiction. And it's basically it's a romance novel, written for women, and they just happen to put it in a fantasy type, with elves or I don't know, bows and arrows or something. Yeah. Oh, that's not true, is it, Cam?
What?
This is why they're mad at you.
What
Snug says. Stop playing Diablo 4. Watch the.
No, I'm not playing Diablo 4.
Well, read what Snug says.
Is it in the okay? Is it not showing up for why? What's going on here?
It's right on the screen.
Oh, that didn't show up I'm looking at the YouTube. No, Snugs, I'm wearing pants. What kind of pervert you take me for?
The reason they stared at you in the craft store.
Oh, no, I was certainly fully clothed from head to toe.
When I go to the craft store, I bring my daughter so that nobody they figure I'm just getting stuff for her. So
no, I've have you ever gone to a Joann Fabrics? I know they're gone now, but My God, yeah, I've never received such a cold shoulder than being in there.
Yeah. They don't like it when we go in their spaces.
No.
And when they come in ours, we just got to take it though.
Yep.
All right. So I think anything else about sex sells with women. Romance novels is porn, is the Playboy for women. I mean, that's what they like that. That's what they go.
Mm-hmm.
See at the craft store. Come on, Cam. Keep
Okay,
up.
Great. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about? I think I covered everybody in the chat about new wave, in general.
I don't like it.
I do. I appreciate it. I mean, Dune is one of my favorite novels. There's lots of good, Niven and Anderson, those guys, they started writing in the 70s. And just because, you're right, like Niven isn't really into this surrealism, psychological drama stuff. He's not into sex that much. You can still have guys who are writing hard, good science fiction, just because this is kind of how it's known as. It can still be, there's lots of good stuff in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. And of course, okay, we get to the 80s. Cyberpunk, best known. Neuromancer comes out in 1984 by William Gibson. This is when we abandon the optimism of the 50s, becomes a little more dystopian. Part of this is the personal computing. 90s when people are finding, like, we've got computers before that, but nobody has their own computer. Now people are getting their own, they're buying their own computers. They're getting an IBM or whatever, and they're using it themselves. So this stuff is going to start to influence our culture and politics, and people are going to, and the cyberpunk, well, what if we had a computer built into you, in part of your brain? What if you have access to them all the time, and these sort of things, ones that you wear and go around with you. And this starts to, the cyberpunk is all about looking at the confluence of biology and personal computing technology and how that affects culture and politics.
Mm-hmm.
Very big. Also, I didn't look at it too closely, but also very big in Japan, cyberpunk at this time. You have Akira, which we watched, Megazone 23, Ghost in the Shell. These things are all coming out of, in the 80s. Japan's pretty big on that in their manga. And of course, the post-cyberpunk era, you'll see sort of, cyberpunk becomes more mainstream after the 80s. And that's when you start to see, steampunk, diesel punk, all these sorts of things come out. You know what steampunk is and diesel punk, Cam?
Do I know what they are?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I actually I like diesel punk stuff. I think that's kind of the coolest. Steampunk, actually, I thought steampunk was really cool, and then I made the mistake of looking at steampunk communities, and my God, if there isn't a bigger group of D-bags in the world than those friggin' weirdos.
Okay, so what's the difference between steampunk, diesel punk, and not the communities? I mean
Well, steampunk is all this Victorian esque stuff, that's
steam powered stuff.
Yeah, right. It's clockwork and a lot of leather and brass kind of stuff. Whereas
gears and mechanical.
It's fantasy essentially. Whereas diesel punk is more like in industrial age kind of stuff, like a sci-fi World War II era kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think,
punk,
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Would be what diesel punk is.
And diesel punk is kind of the same as steampunk, except with diesel engines, so it's a little more less geary and more.
It's less fantasy. I mean, it's much more industrial, realistic in my mind than and less dressing up to look like some kind of fancy lad. Instead you get cool chicks with overalls and gigantic wrenches.
Yeah. Mr. Milktoast has some advice for you, Cam. Don't let the fan base dissuade you from a genre.
Good advice, and I do like. I think it's cool. I still think it's cool. It's just I'm not going to have any interaction there.
you can still like steampunk without having to deal with those people.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like D&D, right?
Yeah, very much.
It's
Well,
still like
yeah.
D&D and fantasy stuff without having to deal with the morons who are invading it.
Well,
I think Snugs is a good one here. Wild Wild West by Will Smith. Yeah, that's a kind of a very steampunk. Steampunk or dieselpunk? More steampunk, right?
Well, more steampunk. It would be more like American steampunk versus British steampunk.
Yeah, sorry. Were you going to say something? I interrupted you.
I was just going to say Weatherman, well known to not like steampunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Michael agrees with you. They're pretty snotty. They're kind of snobbish, just like us. Fit right in.
If only it was only that.
Without the Victorian stuff, a little more road warrior. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too.
Well, they screech about colonialism and stuff a lot.
Oh, do they? Oh, Jesus!
Oh my God! On. Yeah,
it's the Victorian era. Of course, it's colonialism. That's what that era is all about. All right. Anyway, okay. Anything else we want to talk about in the 80s? Because next to the last slide, it's contemporary, which is basically 90s to now, which doesn't really have a good name yet, I guess. Yeah,
we can wrap back around. Yeah, go for it.
So contemporary science fiction. So the themes starting in the 90s, we start to see themes like, and a lot of this reflects what's going on in society, right? So you've got the environmental issues, you've got the global internet. Before, in the 80s, it's just a couple of us on our BBSs in, doing whatever on these, connecting dial-up on various BBSs. But by the 90s come around, I think in 94 was when I first sort of started, hey, there's this whole internet thing. Was that about right for you, Cam, as well?
Yes.
It was 94.
Yep.
So like, hey, you can actually connect, and there's people who just put their stuff. As web browsers are starting to come on the scene, you can actually easily go to these places and look what it is that people are putting up there. So the expanding information universe is the kind of thing that we're seeing. I think this is. I'll finish this and I'll talk about that. Biotechnology, nanotechnology. The Cold War is over in the early 90s, so now we were trying to look at what our society is like, and then you're starting to see the people looking towards this post scarcity society. Everybody's rich. We might not. Everything might be be well known. Do we need to, what society look like when we don't have to claw and scratch for food? I think that we. All right, go ahead. You want to comment, Neil Stephenson? I didn't really mention anything. Oops, sorry, I didn't mention Neil Stephenson.
You're asking if I want to comment on this era?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of. My least favorite, I guess. It's kind of, we're living it in a lot of ways, but it's kind of a dead end because we are so commonly interacting with sci-fi-ish things that it just has lost the kind of the I don't want to say mystical, that'd be the wrong word, but the the fantastical, like, exciting nature of it. It's just kind of killed it in a lot of ways for me. And I know there's a lot of other, kinds of science. I don't know the modern. I don't know if I've ever read a contemporary sci-fi novel. I'd have to really think about that.
No, you haven't. Okay. Well, I've read some, but this is my, I'm known on this channel for saying that anything written after the year 2000 sucks.
Yeah.
Now that's not 100% true. There are some good authors out there, but it does seem to be that we're missing, the power of the Heinleins and Asimovs and the Bradburys, the Nivens, the David Bryns, these people who are, it's much harder to find stuff. And I got some complaints about that, but some of them are a little bit preachy. I think that, I talk to my kids about this, the expanding information universe. The kids, kids don't understand. Like I talk to my younger daughter and say, listen, you can literally go over there and you can Google anything in the entire world. The entire, almost all the knowledge of humanity is in that machine, that, that phone that you can hold in your hand, or that computer that sits. We couldn't do that. We'd have to go to the library. And even then, your local library didn't have any books on that. Oh, well, I guess you can't learn about it. I miss the 20th century authors, that's for sure. Yeah. Now I have some. Now there's some good Neil Asher. I put him down there. I like his stuff. It's pretty good. The thing is I have trouble finding stories. I'm trying to get. I'm going to be saying nice things about Neil Asher because I'm trying to get him to come and do an interview. But the thing about 21st century science fiction is I find trouble finding stories that have the wonder and the newness,
okay, yeah, that's it. The wonder is gone.
The wonder, the newness, the sort of like, wow, what an amazing concept of the stuff that I found, in the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, they're good stories, but they're and they're they've got AI and they've got science fiction-y stuff in there, but they're not like when you first read Dune, you go like, wow, right? When you read stuff by Philip Jose Farmer, who I'm a big fan of his, you just go, wow, like how did he think of this concept? This is right out there. James S.A. Corey is a good writer, and Neil Asher's a good writer. Corey wrote The Expanse. They're good stories, but they are they're good stories with the science fiction bent to it. They're not really like, you read the science fiction, you don't go, wow, what an amazing idea. Like you think, oh, I've seen this before. Sigjin Liu is the guy who wrote The Three Body Problem. And Yoon Ha Lee wrote, I've read a bunch of his books. He wrote, damn it, Nine Fox Gambit was his debut novel. And there's 3 stories in there. And they are actually kind of interesting. His stuff is kind of a little bit unusual because of the social the social situation he shows up. Like in his story, nobody, I mean, there's males and females, but like it's kind of taboo to talk about being a male or a female. Everybody's just sort of lumped into this, general non-binary type thing. But there's a couple. No, it's interesting because there's a character that is male, and he's like unabashedly male in the story, and like he like admits to it and acts like a male while everyone else is trying to be, sort of more neutral. So it's kind of weird. But I mean, the story doesn't focus on that so much, but that's there's other things going on. But there's a galactic conflict, and all the soldiers are just lumped all together, male and female, and nobody cares what they are. And you're reading the story, and it's well written in the sense that you can't really figure out, like, you have these characters, you don't know if they're male or female, right? Like, except for this guy, because he's obviously, hey, I'm male. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah. All right. Let me see what the chat is saying here. Okay. All right. I missed the 20th century. All right. Authors seeking achievement are kicked out of writing by utopian Malthusian editors. Good sci-fi is now out of the mainstream. That's my feeling as well. I've heard rumors that, and I don't know if this is true, and I'd like to try and find out, that if you don't put some sort of LGBTQ thing in your story, you won't get mainstream published. Like, they're like, well, there's no, and so, and I've mentioned this before. There's a series, there's a couple books I read, and a series of 3 stories, and there's 3 scientists part of it, and there's these 2 scientists investigating this corporation, this evil corporation, and this one other scientist woman works for the corporation, but she realizes they're doing something wrong. She's helping out the 2 other government scientists, and she happens to be black, the one. Now, I mean, you know that she's black because she's described that way, but other than that, you wouldn't know what race the characters are. Like it doesn't matter to the story. Even their sex doesn't really matter to the story. It's not really, there's not a romance aspect to it. And then at one point, she gets the bad guys, goons come after her because she's, giving information to the good guys. And, they go to, she's at a bar. She's supposed to meet the good guys, and the bad guys come in, and he's going to, he can't just grab her and stuff because he's, a goon for the bad guys. He's got to be a little more sneaky about it. But she makes some comment about how he's a racist. He's going after her, and I was just like, "What?" Like I had even forgot what color she was, and it doesn't matter to the story. And he just mentions it, and I'm just like, "What the?" So I think they kind of throw these things in there. Current sci-fi is dumbed down for the masses. It's mainstream now, and it's bad. All set on Earth. Current social issues. Yeah, there's a lot of, you got to find the good stuff. That's what we try to do. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I try to, mention the older stuff, because it's not like that. Okay, yeah, Weatherman. It's a good point. Modern sci-fi is too serious. I just think some of it's not well written, and I think part of it is because of who's writing it and the people who are gatekeeping the good stuff out. You got to try and find it. Sci-fi is invaded by woke social ideologists actively pushing the message. They aren't good writers. They don't have the story, develop characters. It's all self-inserts. Yeah, there's an aspect of that too. Nudal says modern writing is so jaded now. We don't trust sci-fi or science fantasy. Science comedy, praise be to say, Space Cake. Yeah, we got to get our laugh somewhere. That's the only place in comedy where people can be true.
Not for long.
Yeah. Science fiction writers are bad at space war, logistics of space travel and warfare. Yeah, I mean, most of them are, they're not. That's why it's interesting reading a book by someone who is a scientist who used to then became a writer. A couple of physicists and stuff like that. Like I said, I think Nevin was one. But yeah, they're usually more in the high hard science fiction area. Yeah. Okay. Cam, you want to mention anything else? I have a little something that I want to show.
Okay.
But I'm not. It's not on a good. It's not on a good. Let's put it up here. Nope. Damn it.
Nope. Oh, you know what? Sorry, Snuggy was asking about Tron earlier, and I was thinking, we did 2 episodes. It was Black Hole that we did 2 different episodes on.
Yeah, Black Hole.
So yeah, it only took me an hour for my memory to pop in there. Yeah, great.
Right on. So I was, when we were doing the contemporary, I was like, because I don't know too many. I mean, I know some contemporary authors, but not many of them because it's not the area I'm most interested in. And I just decided I would just take a little look and see what it was, do a little Google search and find out, hey, what are 10 popular science fiction authors from the 21st century, like that kind of, see what came up. All right. And this is what I came up with. Look at this. Now I'm going to be a little, if you don't like sexism, time to leave.
Yeah, you're the wrong show.
I'm going to be a little sexist. Okay. So 10 sci-fi authors.
Let hate monger guide your words.
Let hate monger guide my words. Okay. So first one, Becky Chambers, she, her. Okay. Never heard of her.
Nope.
Never heard of her.
She, her, gone.
The Monk and Robot. I think that's the name of the book. Never heard of her. Doesn't that sound the Monk and Robot? Like that just sounds like a kid's story. Like what? Next one. Makana Yamoto. They, she, he.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah, colored hair. Exactly. Never heard of her. Book. Mira Grant, she, her. Another girl. At least her hair is a normal color. So this top 10 popular science fiction authors, 3 of them are women so far. 3 out of 10. Next one. Oh, no colored hair, but also a woman. That's 4. Ching Liu. I mentioned before, he wrote The 3-Body Problem I mean, this guy's big. Like this guy's got a TV show on Netflix, season 1, and also he's got a China. There was also a Chinese version of his show first before Netflix picked it up and then redid it. I mean, this guy's 3-body problem hit the. Everyone's heard of this guy. Hit the ground running, and people were raving about it.
Is he a Chinese citizen or a Chinese American?
Yes, he's a Chinese.
Okay,
and this what makes and this makes it very interesting because he writes from a Chinese perspective. So, and he's got there's censorship, right? So he's got to be he's got to tiptoe around the whole government thing. He can't be too critical of them. So, most of it, I especially liked his stuff because it gave me a sense of someone writing from a non-Western perspective, because most of the writers I read are Western, right? Like all these guys we've been mentioning, they're all Western. They're either American or British or something, right? And he's not. And this guy's big. Like I never heard of those other ones. People have heard of him. All right, so that's one man. Okay, another she/her, another woman. What's her name? Emily Hansen. Never heard of her. Okay. Nigid or Kafour. Nope. Never heard of her. Grace Curtis.
Well, what's her pronouns?
What, the other one?
No, Grace there. What's her pronoun? Oh, she, her. I see it.
She, her.
Okay, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah,
okay.
But she kind of looks like a man. But
I needed to know
also
that.
Girl. Now, John Scalise. Now, this guy looks like a science fiction author. That's what they're supposed to look like. Old, 50-something old guy. And I have heard of him. I haven't read any of his stuff. But
he's got pronouns after his name, so not interesting.
Well, they all. I'm sure they put it on there. This is. I mean, look at this website, right? He has the Kaiju Crazy Rations.
He, him.
That sounds interesting.
Bigot.
Yeah. Haley Reese Chow. Never heard of her. At least she looks like a woman. Young adult fiction debut. Oh, so she's that could be the reason. Okay, so that's it. 10 people, 2 guys, both who I've heard of. None of the females I've even heard of.
Okay, but that's because that's just saying what a bigot you are.
It could be. It could be my own fault. But I just find it interesting that the science fiction snob, who is the arguably the expert on science fiction, the whole universe, is never heard of these people. I don't, the pronouns thing. I don't really. I'm pretty sure that these guys put it on there on purpose, so you can't. But what the hell? Are these people any good? No, I've never heard of them. I don't know about you, Cam. Do you? I don't trust them.
Well, okay. So this is current science fiction authors is what.
Well, yeah, these are. This is
Well,
I just Googled it. It's supposedly from 2025.
Let me try to be generous here for a moment. I know it's difficult for everyone to hear that.
I know it's hard for you.
If it's just talking about who's being published, then yeah, you're likely to have
who's being published. They're not going to go out and.
My point is that is the group that's being published. Like you said, good luck getting published.
Well, I've been talking about gatekeeping, right? The vast majority of publishers are, the publishing companies are run by women. They're the ones picking the stories.
Well, my point in saying that is that maybe that's not a reflect. Maybe these people could have a good story. I don't know.
Maybe,
but
I mean, no one's going to read. People will be reading Shichin Liu in 5 years. Yes, they'll be reading him for sure. 3-Body Problem is a pretty good book. But these other ones, I mean, who the hell are they? They're nobodies. I don't think anybody will be. I don't think anyone will be reading them. There's a couple other, modern, but this was the most egregious one. I put out there. It's pretty bad.
Well, that should be your reading assignment for next week. Is read one of those authors.
No,
Come
please.
on.
I'm gonna read Banks. I'm gonna keep reading.
Misogynist.
I'm gonna keep reading Banks's.
Oh,
It's actually good. These people have tens of fans. Yeah, like it's just you've never like. I mean, I should have heard it. Like, I should have heard it. Like, I know of Neil Asher. If I go to the library, there's 10, 15 of his books there, right? If you go to my library, James S.A. Corey, there'll be all 9 of his novels. Well, it's 2 guys, but their novels will be there, right? Like it'll be like prominently displayed, big. You'll be like, yeah, because people like that and they read it. But who are these people? I don't even know if they could even find their stuff. Yeah, snob is spoiled. Yeah, because I grew up in the era reading the golden age and new wave science fiction and cyberpunk, which was good. I mean, I read Neuromancer when it first came out. Somebody stole my copy, bastards. But my original copy of it. But yeah. I mean, they just sit on the shelves. Libraries buy them. Nobody reads it, and then eventually they go away. I mean, good for them to try to do their thing, but who wants to read that? You got to write something. It's not the same. So that's kind of a plug for the channel. Go and look at some of the books that I've reviewed on the channel and read those. Or hey, if you're in the Discord or whatever, just jump in the Discord. Ask me. Say, hey, I like this type of book. I've read this author, and I can usually say, if I've read them, I can say, hey, well, these other stories are kind of like that. If you like this guy, you'll probably like this guy, or suggest, hey, this is a good novel to try. There's lots of great authors that Larry Niven. Larry Niven is in his 80s, I think. I don't think he's writing anymore. He's still alive. But I'm like, oh, Larry Niven should put out another book. But I don't think he's doing. He's just like, he's too old. He's just like, nah, I'm not writing anything anymore. Yeah. Misogyny rules. All hail Space King. That's right. Come for the misogyny, stay for the snobbishness. Yeah. I don't know who any of those. I mean, 2 of those authors. I only knew the male authors. I had never heard of any of them. Yeah, indie publishing is the way to go. Like, it's just I mean, I don't know John Delarose very well. I haven't read any of his stuff, but he complains about this stuff himself.
What would be a good idea for marketing? How we talk about collabs and things, is if you could make a video so offensive that the Mary Sue, or if that's still, is that crap show still around, or anyway, whatever the equivalent of that would be, is that they would complain about your video.
Yeah, isn't that what John tries to do?
Maybe.
George R. R. Martin is still putting stuff out. I don't think so. I don't think he's ever going to write that last book.
Yeah, he's putting out some stuff. It's just not.
No, I don't think Larry. I mean, I'm not saying. I think Larry. I suspect that Larry Niven's health is failing him. I don't know. I have no information. I just think because he hasn't put anything out, he used to write very prolifically, and he had a couple series going on. And I would like him to write a 3rd book to the Integral Trees and the Smoke Ring, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. He only wrote 2, and I'm like, oh, he needs a 3rd. Sort it out. But and I like him as a writer too. Ringworld did all kinds of stuff in that, post Ringworld even too. A lot of great books. But I just don't think he's writing. I think I saw something written by him and someone else, but I suspect it's somebody who's carrying on his stuff. Yeah. All right. Okay, Cam, is there anything else you need to you want to mention about? I hope it's a good primer about science fiction. I'm sorry we didn't talk about pulp. I wanted to. I got a whole bunch of pictures of. There's tons of incredible pulp, covers out there, which are awesome from the 40s and 50s. But I thought we should at least talk about the overall, so we know of the various different eras before we focus on one.
That's fine.
Yeah, Larry Niven's latest books are collaborations. I think he's too old to write anymore. I suspect. But anyway, yeah. So next week we'll do Flash Gordon, of course. We won't switch that, but maybe after that, the week after, we'll look at pulp sci-fi post Flash Gordon. It'll fit really well.
Sounds cool.
All right. Anything else you want to mention on this topic? Anything from the chat you want to mention? Anybody wants to mention?
Well, I will just mention that the chat has been extremely active, so that's pretty cool.
We prefer that.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the pulp stories. I find them too Buck Rogers. They're too much. They're like westerns, right? Like, I fly to this planet. It's like taking a horse. Like, okay, well, how do you get there? Nobody cares how long it takes. I just go there. I find that a little, in my snobbish, a little bit below. Not that they're not good stories and fun to read, but I don't consider them. They're not up to the level of Heinlein and Herbert and all those guys.
That's why one of the reasons I really don't like Firefly.
Because it's very, I can see that it's pretty much a Western space. I don't think it has all the aspects of, it doesn't have the aspects of I mean, it's somewhat like it, but it's not fully.
It doesn't even
Gordon or a.
It doesn't even try to do sci-fi. It just, it's a symptom of Joss Whedon's writing that, the researchers for sissies, famous quote for him or whatever, he doesn't even bother to. Again, if someone said, oh yeah, we have this thing and it works this way, which you said is, definitely not hard sci-fi, but it's not even soft sci-fi. It's just they're there, kind of thing. And that sucks. That's right, Snugs. It blows.
Snug doesn't like it either. I didn't mind Firefly, but it has elements of, it is more towards the, I mean, it's not completely like the Buck Rogers or the Flash.
Yeah, Buck Rogers was cool.
Serialized, and it's a little more, but of course it's much more modern too. So that's probably why it is.
Anyway, okay.
Comedy. All the Firefly haters. I mean, I would agree that it's overdone. It wasn't. Maybe it should have got a couple more seasons, but it's not the greatest thing since sliced bread for science fiction. There are other shows I would rather see have more seasons of before Firefly.
Okay, sorry for this. I know we're trying to finish up here, but what Firefly should have gotten was its full season shown in order, which it didn't, and so that created a lot of problems. And it wasn't treated fairly, but that's what pisses me off, is that has led to this mythology that has sprung up as if, oh my God, it's the greatest sci-fi thing, that if only blah, blah, blah. No, I wanted it to get its fair shake so it could fail on its own lack of merit. That's what really should have happened.
Yeah. I would see Counterpoint, another, more of seasons of Counterpoint before Firefly. I would see more seasons of Travelers before science fiction. Travelers was a very, it was an accessible sci-fi. It was pretty good concept and well done as well. I would see that before Firefly as well. Even though it ended 3 seasons and it ends on a, it ends the story. The story could keep going. And they could have kept doing it, but they didn't. It's Firefly's adventure science fiction, which is basically what Buck Rogers and 20 years ago, something like that. Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, they're basically adventure sci-fi. They're basically a Western in space, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of a horse, it's a spaceship. Instead of a 6-shooter, it's a laser gun. But it still can be good fun. Okay. I didn't think Serenity was that bad a movie either. I thought it was all right. Oh yeah, Space Above and Beyond, another one. That should have gone. I remember watching that. Like, wow, that's a great concept. It looks pretty good, really well done. The mix of the military and the bigger picture stuff, excellently done. That's another one I would see before Firefly. Yeah, Counterpoint. Counterpoint's a great show. Yeah, really well done. I would even say watch it. I think it's 2 seasons. Watch it. I have a review of Travelers. It is a Canadian show. Still good though. Still good. Wagon Train to the Stars. Yeah, we should talk about Star Trek sometime. And PB Lakes, Space Above and Beyond. Yeah, that's the other one that I would say. Yeah, it should definitely. Those are my big 3 that I can think of right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So, did we forget anything?
Nope.
No, I didn't miss anything.
Not that
Is Jeff here? Jeff's not here.
Jeff was disgusted by this discussion, this misogyny you've been engaged in.
And he left. Yeah, misogyny. Boobies. All right. We forgot the jokes though, Cam. We can't forget those. All right. I think these are extra bad jokes today. I scoured the internet and I came up with the worst jokes I could think of. Actually, it's not true. I just happened to stumble upon them, but I still think they're pretty bad. Which means you'll probably love them, right?
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Steel yourself. Okay. What is it called when technology gets in the way of progress?
I don't know. What is it called when technology gets in the way of progress?
Science friction. Get it? It's like science fiction, but friction, like, you have friction on the road. It's like stop you from, you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. What's another name for a robotic arm?
I don't know. What's another name for a robotic arm?
A hand droid. Get it? A hand, H-A-N-D, hand droid.
I love it.
Get it? That's a good one. Eh?
Yeah.
All right. This is for any Back to the Future fans out there. This last one. How do birds time travel in groups? And this, with that hint, you might get the answer to this one. How do birds time travel in groups?
Does it involve the word flock?
Are you?
I don't know. How do birds time travel in groups?
With flux capacitors.
Yeah. Okay.
You did get that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good, eh? You like that?
Yeah.
One?
Actually, you said these are the worst.
Because
these are above average for you, I think.
What? No. These are the worst.
Okay.
Supposed to be bad. All right. Okay. That's it for the show, everyone. End up with the jokes. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something about it. We had a little good discussion. Michael, just got to end the show with degeneracy. Got to get that in there. Yeah,
don't like it.
Right.
Don't like it. Bad, Michael.
Bad. That's why you're so bad. That's why I highlighted your comment. Okay, so Wednesday, what are we doing Wednesday, Cam? We got Divided Loyalties. Is that correct? No, Confessions and Lamentations on Babylon 5, episode 18. And Dean's coming in for that one again. He said he wasn't going to, and he's like, I want to come in.
All
so
right.
I said, what the heck? There's nobody there. So Dean will be in that Confessions and Lamentations. I don't know anything about what that show's about. I haven't watched it yet. So is it good?
I think yes. I haven't rewatched it, but
maybe I should watch it tonight.
Good
stuff.
I'm gonna watch tomorrow.
Close. All right. And then next week we're it's Flash Gordon. Watch it. Follow the link on the thing. You can watch it for free if you want, and watch the show, and then we'll talk about it. And I got to figure a way to get that Queen music in there without. I don't know how to do it. I'd love to get the Queen music in there without getting our channel struck down.
Well, you would. It's not like you're going to lose any monetization, right? I mean, they're not going to strike your channel. I don't think.
Yeah,
they'll just claim it.
Yeah, they won't get nothing out of it.
Suckers.
Anyway, maybe I'll do it anyway, just because I like Queen, so they're pretty good, and the music for that was really
well. Play like 7 seconds, right? Or what is the limit on those?
I think it's like 9 seconds. So if you could go 8, 8 point something, you're free. But yeah, that's a great theme song for the for the movie.
Well, everybody knows it, right? I mean,
Everyone
everybody.
knows it.
So yes, clearly it is. They're hitting on it.
Yeah, I got to play it somehow. Even something. I'll figure something out.
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it. Flash Gordon falls in the public domain in 5 years. I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah. So that's it. And then next week, of course, movie night, as I said, and then the week after that, we'll do what we promised. We'll talk about pulp sci-fi and do a little more work into that, and we'll get some good pictures and stuff. All right, and we're working on things for the future, but hopefully, if you can help a guy out, like and subscribe. And we have, like I said at the beginning of the show, we have 2,954 valid watch hours in the last year, and we only need 46 more valid watch hours to go over 3,000 and we can do memberships and stuff like that.
Absolute peanuts.
Super chats and stuff. So if you got 46 hours, just pick a show and put it on repeat and let it go for 46 hours, a day and a half, and we'll be good to go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's hanging there. I'm telling you, Cam, it's been jumping 12 hours every day and stuff, and now it's just stuck. I think they're sticking it to us somehow.
Sticking it to
anyway,
you. It doesn't.
Sticking it to you, it doesn't nothing to you. You don't care. All right.
Nope.
All right, that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you on Wednesday or next week. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Night. By the Discord after the show. I'll pop in.